Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Overflow. In this video, we'll discuss another code problem, that is the online stock span. This is a medium type problem and we'll understand how we can solve this question easily and a better way. So before moving on, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you subscribe to Learn Overflow for regular LeetCode videos like this. The question says we should design an algorithm that collects daily price quotes for some stock and return the span of the stock price for the current day. Okay. So basically means that we should design an algorithm. Okay. When it says design an algorithm, so you should be careful that you are given a class and you need to design it. Okay. It just implement the functionalities. You need to use some data structures or data types to implement those functionalities, right? Maybe a collections framework, maybe arrays, strings, anything to just implement those functionalities. Okay. So that's what you are supposed to do. So this algorithm should collect daily price quotes for some stock and then return the span of the stock price for the current day. Okay. And what it means by the span of the stock price today is defined as the maximum number of consecutive days. So maximum number of consecutive days starting from today. Remember, starting from today, then going backward, for which the stock price was less than or equal to today's price. That simply means that, like, if we take an example, see, there is this 100, 80, 60, 70, 60, 75 ATM, right? So what do we think for 100? How, if we go backwards, including today, like starting from today, how many days we can see this price, like less than or equal to this price, like only today, right? So the answer is one. Now for 80, how many days we see a price? If we go backwards, how many days we see a price that is less than or equal to 80? There's only one, right? Because before 80, there's only 100. And then how many days we see a price less than or equal to 60 before that? Only one, right? Because all of them are bigger than 60. Now for 70, when it comes, 70, how many days we get to see a price that was less than or equal to today's price? There is 70 itself, that is starting from today, right? That's 70 itself, and then 60, right? The 60, the price for that. I mean, that's less than, right? So that's why we mark it to. Now further, we see like for another 60 when it comes up. So before 60, how many days are there for which it is like less than or equal to? Before 60, there's 70, right? So before, so we are taking it as one. That's why. So before 60, there is not a single day where the price is less than or equal to. So we need to find consecutive days, right? So we are not looking back to before 70 again to find out if there's any. Okay. So we are not bothered with non-consecutive areas. So if only the last element are not is not like less than seven, that like if it's a 60, then if the previous element is not less than 60, we're not bothered to go beyond that, right? So that's important because we are supposed to check for consecutive elements, and that's why it is a one we see. Now for 75, how many days are there? See, 75 is itself because we are considering today, starting from today. Then 60 is less than 75. 70 is less than 75 and 60 is less than 70. So we find a consecutive 4 days that is less than equal to 75, right? So that's why we mark it as 4. Okay. And then 85. Okay. For 85, 75 is less, 60 is less, 70 is less, 60 is again less, 80 is less, right? So how many days are there? So exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm considering today that's 6. So that's 6 number of days. So I hope you can understand like how we can we are solving this, like how is this example going? Fine. Now, what we need to do, we need to implement the stock spanner class, where the stock spanner is like the object, like a constructor of a class given to us, and then this should initialize our object. And then there's this int next function. That's the second function given to us. So this function takes a parameter price, this today's price, and returns the span of the stock price. Given that today's price is given that today's price is the price, that's the input given to us. Okay, so we need to return the stock span of the price. So it's pretty simple as we understand with this example. Right now, the question is how we should implement this, and what should be our choice of data structures or choice of our uh, arrays or classes or anything. What would you choose to do it now? See, now the question is we are looking for only, like, if you see over here in this example where 60 is repeated, so we are choosing for this consecutive days only. So do we need to look back beyond any day when there's not a consecutive day found, right? So that's answer is no, right? So the exact thing we did for this case of 70, like 60 and 70, right? We didn't go back to 70, like beyond 70 to check that there's a 60 that which is less than or equal to 60, right? So that's not a consecutive day. So that's why we didn't do that. No, that's a small hint. Now, how you can do that? To solve this kind of questions, it's better to use a concept called monotonic stack. Okay. Now, what will happen? What will store in a stack? Okay. Let me just draw a stack. Let's see how we can do this. So each of the stack entry will contain two data in itself. One, our current value, fine, the current price or the value we have. So this price will be there. So for example, at first there will be 100, and what other data will be there in the first place? How many days before 100 for which there we can see a stock price less than or equal to stock today's price. So only one, because 100 in itself, right? We just have that value. Next, how I'm just showing you how to do that. Okay. So next we found 80. Next we found 80. So for 80 again we found 80, and that's the one day we find. Okay. Next we find like, see, like, we are not supposed to return our answer as a whole like array or something. We're supposed to return only integers, right? So our answer is being displayed as an array, but that's not the thing. We're just returning integers. Remember that. So basically we are returning this particular integer that we're storing in our stack. Okay. So that's what we will be returning. Now, then we found 60. So for 60, we are just adding into this and returning one and storing one as well. Right? That's only one day where this like where we find that the stock price is less than or equal to 60. Fine. Next, we find 70. Okay. So what we are doing actually, whatever the stack top in the stock stack price, so we are just checking it's whether it's greater than our stack top or not. Like the current price we are at, that is which is 70. Whether 70 is greater than 60 or yes, 70 is greater than 60. If 70 is greater than 60, what will we do? We will simply check this value corresponding to 60, okay, and we'll add 1 to it, 1 because of the today's price, that is 70, and pop this current value and push in our 70 with value of 60, that is 1, plus today's price, that is 1. Okay, I mean, how many days today, counting today's days, like how many days it was for 60, that is 1, and how many days it was for 70, like that for all today's date, we find it 2. Fine. So what happened? We simply popped that value. Okay. Why and how is it helpful? See, once I pop that value, we now know there's like for 70 and less than 70, there's consecutive two values. But if we find any element that is less than 70 after that, so that's not a consecutively like a span of the stock prices there, right? So we are not bothered about 60, like over here that see what will happen. The next element we find will be 60, and for 60 that will be 1, because we are not bothered if there was anything after 70 which is less than or equal to 70. That won't be a consecutive base. So that's how it is just helping us in this. Okay. Next we found 75. So next we find 75. For 75, what will happen? See, again the same thing. We'll first find 60, which is a value of 1. So we find that for 75, we found a value of 1 plus. So once we find this value, we pop this element, right? Next we find 70, bring the stack top. There we found 2. So that is also less than 75. So we added 2. Then pop this element. Then we find 80, which is greater than that. And that's not a condition we are looking for. So only 2 elements are popped and we find 75, and also we'll add 1 because of this 1 is because of the today's price. Okay, starting from today was there, right? So 1 was there, so we'll pop these 2 elements. So let me just erase this them. So we just pop this element and then we are adding 75 in our stack, right? See, 75 with 4. right? So exactly 4 was there. If you just notice over here, exactly 4 was there, right? And then we find 85. Now 85, for 85, what will happen? Fine. So for 85, we again find the 75 is less than 85. So for 85, how many, we find the first value is 75, how many values associated with it? 4, right? And then for 80, we find, like, we then pop this, okay? Then we find 80 being the stack top, which is less than 85. So how many values associated with it? 1, okay? And then we pop this value. Then if I 100, which is greater than that, which breaks our condition. So we then add our today's price, that is 1 itself. So, and once we pop those values, so we pop them out of a stack, fine. And once we are done with that popping, then we'll add 85 into a stack, and then like 6 being the value posted. Okay. So now this may continue for a long span of time. Okay. Why we are using a stack, why we are storing that into our memory? It's like this may continue for a long span of time. You don't know like when it will be done or when it will stop, right? Like how many values will be pushed in, how many values will be like thrown to you. You have no idea. So you need to find something. So that's how you're designing an algorithm. Okay, but basically designing an algorithm that will work as per expected cases. Okay, so you don't know how many times it will be called or how what will happen. So it will whatever be the calls to it, it will work. So that's how it is. Okay. Now, I hope you can understand how you can go ahead with that. So this is a kind of monitoring stack. Let me just quickly write this code for you, then it will be much understandable for you. This is not a big question or something, but something that you should understand in terms of like designing this question. So there we see that this works pretty good for us. So how we solved this is like we took a stack, okay, a stack which contains an integer array within it. Fine. Now this, what we're doing, we just initialize this stack with a constructor call. You can see that like whenever this stock spanner constructor is called, it will get initialized. So that's a condition to store that whether this stock spanner class is like we have created an object or not, proper object or not. Fine. Now next is like whenever next is function is next is called, we initialize the span to be 1. Why span to be 1? That is like today's current span. Okay. Now next we are just let's ignore this while loop first. Next first we push what our like an integer array, that is a price and the span. Fine. But in case the stack is not empty, okay, and the our price is greater than stack dot peak, you can see like s dot peak, the 0th element being the previous price. If our current price is greater than or equal to our previous price that are within our stack top, okay, that means our previous price is less than the wholesale stock is less than or equal to today's price, right? So if that's the condition, then we simply take the span, like whatever span was associated with it, we take the span, add it with our current span, and then pop that element. Fine. So that's what we do, and then we as usual we then push our new span with our current today's price and return a span. So that's the value we are supposed to return to over here. Fine. So that's how it works. Okay. So I hope you can understand how this question is working and how we can solve this question easily, right? So if you have any doubts related to this question, make sure to comment them down. I'll be happy to help you out in the comments as well. So thank you all for watching this video. Hope to see you soon in my next video as well. Thank you.